Hello everyone, and in today's video, we're going to jump straight into it. Finally, this is going to be your guys' video breaking down our Club World Cup group. The Seattle Sounders are in Group B and will face off against Botafogo, Atletico Madrid, and PSG. I apologize for how late I was on getting this video out, but I guess now it's out a lot later. For all of you that might have missed it during our live stream where we talked about Liao Chu and his possible transfer to Fluminense, who are interested in him again, we brought on Brody, who is the new co-host on the channel. So make sure to show him some love in the comments down below. And make sure to go check out that video after you finish this one. We're going to be talking about the groups, our thoughts on it. I feel like having two perspectives on this video was better than just having mine. Moving on to which opponent is our toughest one to our weakest one, and how the Sounders could give themselves the best possible chance of going as far as they can, getting out of this group in this tournament that is happening this summer. We'll probably do another preview once we get closer to the tournament then, but this is going to be our very, very early predictions, thoughts, deep dive on it. Most of you might already know my initial thoughts. I went live for the draw. I said we were screwed. There's the clip that's going around where I was like, Craig Weibel, you better make some signings because we're absolutely shafted. Yada yada. When we look at the groups, we'll play against Botafogo first in the group. Then we play against Atletico Madrid. Then against PSG. If you guys live under a rock, you didn't know this, they're all going to be played here in Seattle. Sounders will have home field advantage. They're going to be one of the few hosts of this tournament, which again include our fellow MLS compatriots, Inter Miami. Who do you think is the toughest opponent to the easiest opponent, if you were to rank it?
I mean, I would say just on paper, the toughest team is probably Atletico Madrid, and it really just comes down to like I don't know in terms of this tournament. I don't know how like the bigger teams go about it. I don't know how many of their starters they play in the tournament. So it's hard to say because I would rather probably play like a because I think Atleti's going to be the toughest team. But the other two teams, I would think I'd rather play like a PSG who's not playing everybody versus like a full-fledged like Botafogo team, in my opinion. So it really just depends on how serious the other teams take the competition. But if I had to guess, just on paper, best 11, I'd go Atleti 1, PSG 2, Botafogo 3.
Why does Atletico scare you the most?
Yeah, I just think they got probably the best overall squad. I think if we don't play it right, I mean, there's not much you can do against these teams that just have an overwhelming amount of talent compared to you. But like, I think this one could just be like complete embarrassment. That's what I'm worried about.
What I'm not excited about, what I am excited about, and I do agree with you, I think Atletico are the toughest opponent in this group, no question about it. Is it could be some people were already talking about it. This could be like an absolute defense fest because that's what Simeone, Atletico Madrid are known for, is an absolute defensive team. And we're very defensive heavy, as we've seen for the past 2 seasons. We rely heavily on our defense. It's the same thing with them, but the difference between them and us, even though they do play more defensive, it's because they have that higher end talent that can punish teams with their few opportunities. And if, let's say, Griezmann, Sorloth, and Julian Alvarez, even one of them, it doesn't even have to be one of them, two-thirds of them. If it's all of them, it's going to be a long day in the office for Stephen Fry. Like, it's not going to be fun. And one thing I will add on to is from what I've seen in reports, FIFA is going to punish teams if they don't bring their strongest teams. From what I've seen, I don't know how true it is. I'll probably throw up the article that I saw or some sort of article that talked about it up on the screen for you all. But from what I'm seeing, it's going to be something along those lines to, incentivize, because you don't want to get fined, to bring your best team, even though I'm assuming a lot of these clubs might not care for this tournament. But yes, back to what I was saying. Atletico Madrid, 100% best team. I will, though, disagree with you, and I'm going to go with Botafogo at the second place spot. Why, you may ask? I know a lot of you are going to be like, oh, but Botafogo just got slapped by Pachuca, this and that. And I was like, I still think they're a really good team. That does not change anything. Botafogo are on the trajectory to get the double. They already won the Libertadores, I believe, and then they're going to win the title in Brazil. They're on their way to getting the double. They're on a crazy, crazy trajectory, in my opinion. I think they're going to have the mindset, because I think it's possible that they could pip a knockout round spot out of this group, because I think PSG is the weakest of the three. because we've already seen in the Champions League, granted, and again, I'm not including us in this pool. I'm just talking about difficulty. They have been underwhelming. They're going through a big transition, but I think it's a good transition because PSG are not, Brody talked about, well, if this was the PSG of 3, 4 years ago when they had Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, they're kind of going on a whole different style. Like they don't have big name stars. I mean, their main stars are Dembele and Kangin Lee. Like compared to Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar, that's a far cry in itself. But I do like what they're trying to bring in, like this new PSG. Developing younger talent, not having the superstars, but they are going through a transitional period. And as well, I will add, because depending on how the first two games go for every team, that is the last game for the Sounders. And for all we know, PSG might have already booked themselves to the knockout rounds, or for all we know, PSG have 0 points. They might not care to even get any points in this group and might just roll out a B team or something along those lines. Sounders might be more up for it because they haven't gotten any points. They haven't scored any goals. They got nothing to lose. They're playing carefree. So that's just something I will bring up.
I just don't want to be embarrassed. I mean, I know everyone's gonna be like rah rah, like any tournament should be aiming to win the whole thing, which is true. But if you I don't know if any of you guys listened to the end of season press conference, it pretty much like without saying it wise, pretty much made it clear that our goal is to build a team that's good enough for the MLS this tournament. Whatever happens happens type of thing. So
Rolling out the
like
dice.
yeah, it's pretty. I mean, you could tell beneath, like reading between the lines. Like obviously, we're not, expected to do little if anything in this tournament. I just hope we can get some result somewhere in any of these games. But
What do you consider some result?
like we nick a draw against PSG or Botafogo, something like that. And if we don't just get embarrassed totally, like if we make the games competitive, I would be happy. We just need to put on a good showing.
Yeah, I mean, to add on to what you just said, I think a lot of people, and I don't blame them, are very bullish to think we need to do at least decently. We need to, be buying the big name stars. We gotta, do this, do that. And I don't think the Club World Cup is the end all be all. I don't think that's necessarily the mindset you want to have. But as I brought up earlier, our mindset should still be ambitious and to still at least have a good showing because, as you brought up, this is a huge opportunity for the Sounders to put their name on that world stage map. Like everyone in the world knows about Inter Miami because they bought the likes of Messi, Suarez, Busquets, those big names that brought them that global recognition. Same with the LA Galaxy. They brought in David Beckham. They were the first pioneers to bring in a big star. Seattle could truly put themselves in that hat, you could say, in the third ranking of that to be a globally recognized team if you have a decent showing in this tournament. Because then people are going to be like, oh, dude, I remember Seattle. They beat Atletico Madrid or they beat PSG and upset their group when they weren't favored at all to get out of it in the Club World Cup, that new expanded FIFA Club World Cup. And then for all you know, if you make like the right signing, let's say you bring in Aubameyang, people are going to want to buy Aubameyang Sounders kits because that's a hipster thing to do. Like there, if we do these things, you could. It's a huge like this is such a huge like card the Sounders can pull out to really put themselves globally on a big market if you do well. And not only that, but just the city of Seattle as sports fans, because it's not just this tournament. Then you have the World Cup. If you have a good showing, you have good performances, it just shows like, dang, Seattle's a legit soccer city, a legit football city that has passionate fans, has a good team that can compete, at least to a certain degree. I'm not saying we have to beat these teams, but we can't get rolled over. We can't just play absolute park the bus like we've seen throughout the recent playoffs and things like that. We play some decently attractive football, but as well, yes, play defense, but not put 10 men behind the ball. Like we show that we are out here to do something. We have some exciting players. Not saying we need to go out and buy Ronaldo and Neymar and X, Y, and Z, but De La Vega comes to the full. You bring in a legitimate striker like what Rui Diaz was. You bring in a legitimate 10 like Ladera was. And people are, it's a, that is one thing that I think is very much a big deal and something to think about. Not saying we have to get out of this group. I'm not thinking that at all, but have a good showing in this tournament. If you get blown out, you get blown out. But if at least in 2/3 of the game, you put up a good performance, we got unlucky, Fair enough. But I remember last time in this Club World Cup, we played against All Elite. In my opinion, I think we played like a bunch of pussies. We didn't go out there to play. We played park the bus the whole time. Yes, we got unlucky that Alex Roldan shot. I mean, the shot that Alex Roldan tried to block got deflected in. But the difference between us and All Elite, one, they do have a lot more experience than us, but they were going for the game. We were making defensive subs late into that game to send it to extra time. All Elite were making offensive subs to win it at the end of the game. That's the difference. Like, I don't want us to go out there and play like a bunch of wimps and scare chickens. I want us to go out there and play to our highest potential. Like last time, I'm not saying our showing was embarrassing one bit, but we didn't go out there and actually show what we could do. And I think if you bring in those right type of signings, you could have those type of moments.
And that was also one of the teams, like the Al Eli, I don't know how to say their name, but the team we played last time, like that was like one of the teams where you should go all out, especially because that's a team that you realistically can beat. Not to say a lot of people didn't know who they were, so they thought we would just steamroll them, but just realistically, that's a team that you can beat. It's not a team that you're completely out of your depths in. So we really could have gone for it in that game, especially. I hope we do something similar to that in this time around. But there's three things that I want to see. Okay.
Okay.
The first thing that I want to see is, which is probably not going to happen, but that we make an ambitious signing, something big, something like, for example, what Cincy did this off season. I hope we're ambitious. I hope we really, because this is where you want to show the world what the Sounders are about. This is a tournament where you want to make noise, like even if it's, like I said, not topping or even getting out of the group, but just putting up a good showing. I hope we do something ambitious in the window, which, like I said, with the Ferreira rumors, him only wanting to be, or us wanting to get him only on a TAM, makes me think, gives me hope at least that we're looking towards a DP signing.
But
Hopefully
so
that's
far,
an
it's not
attacker,
looking
but
good.
yeah, but there's a lot of time left. But I'm hoping that means that we're looking for like a big DP signing. But yeah, that's number one, that we be ambitious. Number two, I really, really, this is probably almost the most important for me, is our young players. I hope our young players really show out. I hope if we have Obed, I hope he shows out. I hope De La Vega puts it all together. I hope even guys like Georgie come in and show what they're about, because these guys are our cash cows. Like Obed's our cash cow. De La Vega, the whole reason this club initially wasn't the end goal for De La Vega. It was to bring him in, have him build his resume here, then sell him for a profit. I'm hoping he can get back on that trajectory, and that's what it starts with here. That's what it starts with in this tournament. Like, that's just my biggest thing, and it sounds like we're going to keep Obed in the winter. So, if he's here during the Club World Cup, I'm hoping he puts in a good showing, because that's how we can really make big signings in the future, is those guys panning out well, and then we can sell them for a profit. And the third thing is I don't want, like you were saying, I don't want us to just roll over, man. Because I know, like, anyone who's played, soccer at any level, like, it's cool and fun when you're playing MLS teams, right? And you can feel confident and feel at your best. And then when you play against a team that you're completely out of your depths in, it's easy to just roll over and be like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I want to see guys really go after it. I want to see us really go after it, really, like, think to ourselves that we belong. Even if we're out of our depth, even if they're superior, all three teams, I really hope we don't just roll over mentally. I really hope that we actually, like, believe that we can make noise in this tournament. So those are the three things I want to see.
I think to add on to your third point, it kind of reminds you of, you remember when we played Tottenham in that friendly back in 2014? Well, in my opinion, with probably one of the greatest teams we've ever had, most well-rounded Sounders teams we ever had. We didn't roll over. We went down multiple times in that game, but never once did I think we're gonna lose this game. Every time I felt like we could win this game. And like, granted, yeah, Tottenham weren't playing all their best play. It was still Tottenham. It was still a European like powerhouse team. And yet I felt like we could beat this team every single moment in that game.
And the Chelsea game too. Like, even the Chelsea game, we didn't
Yeah.
roll over. Like, it looked at first it looked like we were going to get rolled, and then we fought back into it. What we don't want is that OG Manchester United belt to ass 7-0. Terry Boss gives up 6 in one half. That's what we don't want, man. That's what we do not want.
No, and I totally agree. But I do think that comes with that starts from the top to the bottom. If you make those right type of ambitious signings, we can see that. And then I'm gonna ask you after this, how can the Sounders make it so these dreams we're talking about, where yeah, maybe we don't get out of the group, maybe we do get out of the group, but at least we have a good showing in this tournament. How does that happen? In my opinion, it starts from top to bottom. If the club shows the ambition, again, to emphasize, I'm not saying all for the Club World Cup, but just in general, because it's needed. It's long overdue. You've gone 3 straight summer transfer windows without making any signings. You need to do it now. You've left it all for this window. As of now, it's not looking good, but it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So I'll keep letting the ship ride. You need from top to bottom show that ambition to the club, to the players, to the fans that hey, we're going to go out there, we're going to try to build the right team where we can at least play decently because the current team we have right now is not going to do fuck all. I'm going to be completely honest, we're absolutely toast. Like and I don't want that to be the case. I want us to be 2 pegs above being absolutely burnt toast. Maybe we're just toast as is. We're not going to get to that little bit of butter on top of the toast, but toast as is. Can we at least be there to at least be in the mix and at least play decently? Because this can really help put the Sounders on the map in many ways. If you make your own luck. You make your own luck if you at least set yourself up to have some luck. But as of now, we're not setting ourselves up for that.
And listen, I know how much everyone likes Jordan Morris. I get it. Love the guy myself. Um, but we should be a team that's always wanting to get better, always looking at every position, being like, can we get better here? Is it reasonable that we can get better here? We have no reason why we can't be ambitious and bring in some sort of top attacker, some sort of top striker. That's the kind of moves we need to make, not only for this tournament, but just for the MLS in general, because many other teams are showing you like the bar's starting to increase. The bar's starting to get higher and higher and higher. So to make a statement for, I mean, not even necessarily for this tournament, but just for anything that we're in, like to bring in that ambitious signing, get the fans excited again, put butts back into seats, man. Because I'm telling you right now, Jesus Ferreira ain't doing that, man. If that's our ambition, that ain't doing it. And we're gonna probably get belt to ass in this tournament if that's the best that we got is those moves. So from the top to bottom, show us that you take this tournament seriously, that you understand, that you're not just completely like naive of what's going on in the MLS. Show us that your vision is to be a top team, to be constantly competing for trophies, not just settling and staying pragmatic.
We have been.
Yeah. I mean, we have been. Like, I mean, obviously, we did have the De La Vega signing, but in the summer there's opportunities to do stuff, couldn't close it out, and then didn't really make many moves before that. So this is you have no excuse to not bolster the squad. So show us the fans that you're serious about being a top team constantly again. So
One thing we haven't spoken about, which total again, side note, if you play well in this tournament, fans show up for it. There's one particular man on Atletico Madrid that's a big Seattle Mariners fan, Mr. Antoine Griezmann. You show up good here, maybe you lure him to come play for Seattle. That's something do you think that's a legit thing to consider and talk about?
in terms of that aspect, yeah, if the fans like show up and show out, then absolutely. Like if he likes, oh, okay, this atmosphere is like, and then we actually,
Going for him.
show up a little bit. Like, yeah, I mean, I could see that for sure. I mean, if he wants to come to the MLS,
Which he's rumored to be interested, but it looks like LAFC are the front runners. We could make some, kind of swing in there.
yeah, hey, and then when his name gets announced, hopefully in the starting lineup, we all cheer. You know what I mean? We'll get big old signs that say, "Come to Seattle, Griezmann, come to Seattle."
But that comes down to if fans show up, the club could maybe like I don't know if you have a good game and show that you have passionate fans, you have a good organization, you have a good group of players. No one's gonna come play for the San Jose Earthquakes at Griezmann's level, but you show you have a good team that you can add him into.
Yeah, because I mean, if you say like hypothetically all things equal between two clubs, but one club has the atmosphere and the other club doesn't, that could definitely be like a swing factor. So I do see that perspective a little bit, yeah, for
And I mean, he
sure.
wants to come to MLS. Why not it be Seattle so he can hang out with Julian?
Julio Rodriguez.
Julio Rodriguez. That's what I meant, not Julian Alvarez, because we were just talking
I
about him. But
mean,
yeah,
if Julian Alvarez wants to come too, I mean, we can make that work, man. We got maybe 2 DP spots, probably not, but
yeah.
could always hope. Even Craig
Uh,
would be like, just side note, even if like that was like, hey, my buddy wants to come too, Craig would be like, no, Rusnak, you guys aren't better than Albert Rusnak, man.
That's
You guys
right.
aren't better than 11. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Is your name Albert Rusnak? Didn't think so. Don't want you, buddy. You can't
Did
grab me
he?
on the balls like Albert Rusnak
Does
does.
he have that RSL pedigree? Yeah, I didn't think so, buddy.
Didn't think
Didn't think
so.
so.
All right. Well, I think that's the best place to end today's video. Boys and girls, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below of everything we discussed. How do you guys think the Sounders could have their best possible opportunity to do well in this FIFA Club World Cup? You gotta let me know your thoughts down below. As well, we officially started a membership program with YouTube. Up on the screen, you'll see how you could join to be a supporter on our YouTube channel. Get some cool emojis. You get a special little indicator when you comment on the videos or on lives that you're a member on the channel. It highlights it. You get, as I said, the cool emojis that I built with Schmetzer, Fry, and Della Vega. Make sure if you guys want to help support the channel, that is the best way to do it. So make sure to go check that out. But boys and girls, don't forget to smash the like button on today's video, and I hope you'll have a lovely day.